Did Vikings actually wear horned helmets? Well, it makes sense, right? I mean, they're known for their fierce, ferocious appearance, and horned helmets seem like the perfect embodiment of that. But it turns out that the whole horned helmet thing is largely a modern invention. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're talking about Viking helmets. Now, while we think of Vikings as having these iconic horned helmets, a quick look at archaeological evidence will show you that what they actually wore was much more simple. Most helmets discovered have been quite basic, consisting of a simple metal skull cap with a nose guard and some sort of neck protection. Some had a decorative border around the edge, and a few had a simple design on the front. But none of them had horns, so where did this idea come from? Well, the earliest horned helmets that have been discovered date back to the Bronze Age, around 900 B.C.E., long before the Viking Age even began. These helmets were found in a number of places, including Denmark, Germany, and Austria, and they were likely used in ceremonies or rituals rather than in battle. They were often decorated with intricate patterns and designs, and some even had animal heads or figures attached to them. It is possible that these horned helmets were meant to intimidate and strike fear into the hearts of the enemy, or they may have been a symbol of power and authority. But during the Viking Age, over 1,000 years later, there's no real evidence that horned helmets were used, at least not for war. The reason for this is pretty simple. They weren't very practical. Not only would the horns get in the way during a fight, but they would have been an easy target for an opponent to grab onto. And if you've ever tried putting a big helmet with horns on your head, you know how difficult it can be to see properly. The idea of Vikings wearing horned helmets really took off in the 19th century. This was partly due to the rise of Romantic artists, a group of painters and sculptors who were interested in depicting the exotic and mysterious cultures of the past. They created images of Vikings that were full of drama and excitement, and these images were often published in books and magazines, which helped to spread the idea of the horned helmet far and wide. But it was also Richard Wagner's opera Der Ring des Nibelungen that really cemented the horned helmet as part of the Viking image. The opera was first performed in 1876, and it tells the story of the Volsungs and the Nibelungs. These are two groups of people from Norse mythology, and their stories were well known in Scandinavia long before Wagner came along. But Wagner's version of these stories is what made them famous throughout Europe and eventually the world.